Hey Cardfighter, FIFA fan here, and I'm going to be going over some tips and tricks for my Flagburg deck profile. If you haven't seen that, please click the link and make sure you watch that one first. So first I'll be going over Mulligans. Here to my right, I have cards here at the top from most important to least important here. When you're doing your mulligan, you always want to keep your persona right, obviously. That's really important. But besides that, you always want to make sure that you're keeping your restanders. Restanders are really important. If you don't have restanders, you always want to mulligan so you find them. Um, Also, a very important card to keep if you ever do get get it in your opening hand. Don't shuffle it back in. Surprise Trident. This right here is a part of your resource management engine. It gives you soul and gives you counterblast. So if you ever have an open hand, I always try to keep this. Regardless of whatever else I have here, I'll go over the rest of the stuff, but regardless of whatever else I have, these three on top here are the most important. So you always want to have those. And if you don't have those, you want to mulligan until you get them. This, like I said, this is really important too. You also mulligan to see this if if you don't already have it. Next up will be spiritual body condensation. Like I said in the other video, this is just an extra copy of whatever other card you may need that's in the drop zone. This one makes numbers. This one adds to your attack or your wave counter, which is effectively a 6 attack. And this one gives you soul. These two are really dependent on other cards. While these things are like by themselves do everything that needs to be done, these things work with other cards. So this one here, this one gives you the soul. This is the resource management. This gives you soul. So say you have an opening hand and you don't draw Ascendance Assault, or you don't have a Flagburg to reveal for the Ascendance Assault skill, and then once you do the grade 2 skill and you don't have anything, your soul will be depleted. So this is just this automatically just gives you 2 soul. And not only that, you can attack with it. You can also guard with it to open up another rear guard for your next attack. This, like I said, this one effectively makes a 6 attack. I normally want to have this out when I'm able to make all those attacks. When I have my restanders and I have my damage. Normally, your first grade 3 turn, your restanders can already attack your vanguard, attack your opponent's vanguard, unboosted. So that would be a good time to use this. Other than that, you only want to use this if you're able to give like past your first grade 3 turn. You only really want to use this if you're able to give like these units here power. Let's say you have both of these on your rear guard and you have this and you give them both 5k. That would be the prime time to use this skill. This will give you a 6 attack basically. Um, Next order of business, we have triggers. Like I said in my last video, I just don't run fronts in this because fronts aren't very good in Flagburg. Of course, you can still try to use them. They're really good for defense, which is the reason why I really enjoy running fronts. Not only that, that makes it, it makes it really hard for your opponent to 2-card guard you, especially when they know you run fronts. So it's kind of like takes away a mind game. But like I said, it's really good for defense. If you do decide that you want to try these fronts, which I may do in the future, just take out 3 of the critical triggers and then just run 3 fronts. Have it noted to watch your damage and watch your opponent's damage. Because you are giving your opponent so much damage, it's also effective for you to take some damage too, just so your opponent is not healing off all of that damage that you're dealing to them, because basically it's just pointless. So like I said, make sure you're watching your damage. Make sure you're watching, if you don't have any resource management, make sure you're watching your damage. You may be forced to take a vanguard swing, when you don't want to, but you need like at least like 2 counter blasts a turn and you may have to take 2 damage. If you have your resource management like this trident here, you may only need to take 1 because this counter charges. Next, I wanted to go over just simple attack orders. For this exercise, I'll be just showing you a pretty stable board that I normally have. So I have my Flagburg, I have my Flagburg, I have my Ascendants, I have my Aggress, ideally a Trident. I normally keep this, they don't really attack into it, but I normally keep this from a Great 1 skill, so I always normally have this. But regardless of everything else you have, this is like a pretty standard board here. So first you have the Aggress. This is the one that when you attack a rear guard, you Soul Blast and you stand a unit. So say you have like 2 soul from your 2 soul from your other turns, and you have like 2 open damage here. So you attack, rear guard, Soul Blast, you'll stand it. That's 1 attack. Then you attack the Vanguard. Now this is your first grade 3 turn, so your opponent Vanguard should be 10. You attack with this one. Whether they guard it or not, doesn't really matter. Then you attack with this one, but this time it'll be boosted. So this will be, so that was your first, that was your second. This will be your third. This is wave 3. And this is for 18. When this attacks, you use this skill to counter blast. To stay in this unit. So whether they block it or not is irrelevant for the exercise. Then you attack with this one. 4th wave. Whether they attack is irrelevant, whether they guard is irrelevant. And then you will attack with Flagburg. Now there is an interaction with Price Trident and Flagburg that I think you need to be aware of. Say for whatever reason you used all your counter blast this turn, and you have no counter blast because you used the last counter blast for your Ascendance Assault. What you do is when you will attack with your Flagburg, you put this in, you activate this skill first. So between these two, you activate this skill first to flip you up a damage, and then you activate your Flagburg skill. So this is your 5th attack of the turn. So you fulfill all the requirements for your Vanguard. So first, you draw a card. Second, you would you would choose and just destroy or get rid of 2 of your opponent's rearguards. Normally, they'll probably be the back row because they they either been attacked into or they used in the guard. And then last but not least, your Vanguard will get plus 10k attack, and your opponent has to guard with 3 cards. So that will be like that will be an attack order. These. Next order of business, taking damage. When you are at the beginning of the game, your first grade 3 turn, you always want to make sure that you have at least 2 damage. 2 damage at the minimum. Because you want to have Soul Blast, you want to have a counter blast for your Ascendants, and then you want to have a counter blast for Flagburg. So 2 at the minimum on your first grade 3 turn. Now the first exercise I showed was like a optimal first grade 3 turn, if you have all the pieces. Some of the time you just won't have the pieces. So sometimes you just won't have the pieces. Sometimes your grade 3 turn will look like this. And even so, like you can still get some stuff out of it. If you like your first grade return, if this is all you have, this is like a minimum. If you don't have all the bells and whistles, you can still at least get like 4 attacks. Granted, your opponent, if your opponent draws a trigger, then it shuts it down. But other than that, so say your first grade return, you have 2 counterparts like you would normally have. You would attack with Ascendant's Assault, and then you will attack with Inroad Shooter. Now, with Inroad Shooter, as we know, it gets plus 2k and it gets the intercept. So this is a 10k attacker, so it attacks the Vanguard for 10. With this, you can use Ascendant's Effect to stand it for another attack. So that was already 2 attacks. The next thing you want to do with a board like this, because you already reached your minimum of 3 cards, you want to attack with Flagburg next, just in case your opponent guards it. You still have something to put your trigger on. So then you attack with Flagburg, you counterblast, you draw a card, and then you would do your draft checks. So draw trigger, and you put all effects onto Ascendants here. So the first exercise was like if you had all the bells and whistles. This exercise is more of a standard grade 3 turn, I think. What are we doing here? Next order of business is alternatives. If you don't have the store KL over trigger, because it is quite expensive, you can always play the standard crate trigger. Still good. You still give 2 triggers, 100 million, you draw a card. So just because you don't have the store KL trigger doesn't mean that you don't have a trigger. This does a job of an over trigger as well. You just have to play around, your attacking if you have this, if you have this. And if you have the resources and time to be able to do that, you know what I mean. Second, the newest perfect guards. You can always play just the regular perfect guards. Those work just as well. This just works a bit better because you can just use it as like a 1-card guard. But you could always use the other perfect guard that it has. If you really need to, you can just proxy it. That's what I would do. That's what I've been doing because I've just been too lazy to get it out of my other deck. I just been using the proxy. Normally the opponents are really good with it. Except for doing tournaments and stuff like that. You probably have to have the cards. Probably have to have the real cards. In which case, you can still use the old perfect guards, so that's fine too. What do we have here? I have 2 cards of interest. And like I said, these are just alternatives. If you don't have the spiritual body condensations for whatever reason, if you're not using that card, if you don't want to use that card, another card that I want to try out is In Search of an Ideal Far Away. This is actually a really good card. Choose one of your units until the end of the turn. When your other unit attacks, it gets plus 500. This is perfect for Flagburg Dragon because since Flagburg Dragon is the last to attack, your opponent either has to perfect guard it or they're just not going to guard because it's just going to be too big. Like you're already 15k plus another 10k from its skill. It'll just be too much to guard. So if you wanted to switch something out, if you don't want to play the condensation for whatever reason, you can also try this out. I think I might try this out as well, along with the 20k fronts. Last but not least, we have Promise Brave Shooter. I'm only bringing this out because it has the Flagburg aesthetic. It is not very good. I think this is a promo. When this unit attacks, Soul Blast 2, expensive. This unit gets +5 until the end of the battle for each of your other units. So, I mean, if you really wanted to play it, I guess it works with the Great One, the this one right here that lets rear guard stand. I guess you can use it with that one. But it's only to the end of the battle. So even if you restand it, it won't be able to keep the power. So, you know, probably would never play this card. It's just an option if you do want to try this. I probably won't, but you know, it's an option that you have. Like if you come up with something, you know, let me know if you come up with anything with it. And then last but not least, I have in quotations, keep track of your attack order. Keep you nice. Your opponent's not going to keep track of your stuff. You have to keep track of it. You can't get mad if your opponent, you know, doesn't believe what you're doing. You need to be able to keep track of your stuff. When you're making your attacks, have this dice. Like, you know what? Put it right in front of put it right in front of your vanguard. Just put it on top of your vanguard, just so you know you just can't forget it. When you're first playing this deck, it's really easy to just forget. But you know, like I said, you can't expect your opponent to be paying attention. You know, you are doing the attacks and stuff like that. I mean, I guess you're supposed to expect your opponent to be paying attention, but you know, most of the time they won't. They're just thinking about guarding and stuff like that. But you need to be paying attention to what you're doing, so you know how many attacks you're making. It's always best to keep you a dice on hand. Well, that's all I have for this tips and tricks video. You know what? I guess I can go through just a standard hand. I think that'd be nice. So I'm gonna put my things back inside. So I'm gonna go over from grade 1 to grade 3. Maybe do a little attacking. I didn't do this on any of the other videos, so you know, this would be great. Okay, so we're gonna go over open hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 here. So we have Flagburg, we have Ascendance, we have Aglio, we have High Rate Burst Dragon, and then we have a Heal. Really important. Flagburg and Assault. While these two are really good, what I'm really looking for when I do my mulligan is I'm looking for the aggress, the other restander, and then one of my resource management. So either like the grade 2 Flower Girl Alana or the grade 1 Trident with priority on Trident. So these two I'll be mulligan again for trying to get the grade 1 Trident in aggress. So 3, put these back, shuffle. And I'm gonna do a half clip. we'll just say for this purpose, for this training purpose, I'll just be going first. So I got these, and then I'm mulligan for the rest of these. So not much better. I mean, I guess this is good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll draw for turn. Aglio is really good. So when you are doing your mulligans, just like a lot of the other decks, it's always best to dish your triggers first. So we'll just draw. So right up here. Pass turn. Opponent gives us a damage. All right, stand and draw. Over trigger, very unfortunate, but that's fine. We'll get rid of the heal trigger here. And we're right up to grade 2. When grade 1's rolled upon, we'll bring this out to the side here. I know a lot of people bring it up to the front, and it's just for rushing purposes. But as far as resource goes, I just don't have enough resources at the moment to be able to build my field up once they just knock all my stuff down. So I normally just bring it to the back here, and then I'll attack for 10. Drop check. Condensation, really good card. That's just extra, ascendance or aglio or a high right brush dragon here. We go to our opponent. So our opponent gives us 2. We'll stand, and then we'll draw. This is really good. We're mulligan for this. The only thing we're missing is aggress. What would you be getting rid of? This is quite tough. This is for resource management. You don't want to get rid of your persona. Ascendance, nope. Resource management, so we have 4 here. If you want to have like a really if you want to have a really strong first turn, I'll probably say keep these 2 and get rid of your over trigger. Or actually, you know what? You may not have to get rid of the over trigger. If you want to have a really strong turn, because you have a Flagburg for the grade 2 skill, you'll be able to call it for free. You want to keep this. I'd probably say ditch the over trigger. And then you'd ride. Using grade 2 skill, you show Flagburg. You bring it out here. Take a trident here. And your second aggress here. You play aglio. You give units +5 to both. And then you play this, giving this one here the effect. So when it would attack, you counterblast, soul blast 1, and then you restand it. So this is effect. This formation is effectively giving you 6 to 7 attacks, because you'd attack with this one, and by this effect, you stand it. Wave 1. You would attack with this one again. That's wave 2. You attack with this one. It's wave 3. You use the effect to stand this one. And then you attack with this one, boost it. This is wave 4. Using this effect, you stand it. This would be wave 5. and then you attack with Flagburg. And like I taught you earlier, you always want to use this first. You put this into soul, countercharge 1, and then use Flagburg skill, making it 6. That was 6 attacks, so you get all of your Flagburg skill. You draw a card, you destroy 2 of your opponent's rear guards, and then they have to guard with 3 or more. And your opponent and your vanguard gets 10. So this is 21, 31. So you drew a card, and then you have your draft checks. Okay, so that is the end of my tips and tricks video. If you did like it, leave a comment, like it. See you later.